Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have a very interesting Rob's Rambling. I wanted to talk a little bit about what is your Bigfoot, Yeti, or Loch Ness monster of knives. Yeah, the grail knife that you're hoping for, but then there's that grail knife that you know you want to acquire and you can acquire, but you can't find. But it's being produced, it's being released, it's being dropped, but you never get in on the drop. You never find out when it's released. You never know when a store has it. You get in all the mailing lists, the notification buttons, you ask to be notified, and then next thing you know, you see an email, hey, this knife was dropped. And you go directly, of course, because you didn't respond right away, or even if you did respond right away, you go there and it already says out of stock. You missed it because it probably sold out in 5 seconds or 3 seconds or 1 second. And you weren't the one that was literally sitting there by the computer ready to click that button, click the button, and buy it. Maybe some people know when these drops are going to happen even before you get the email. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I'm sure maybe people have friends who know, and we miss out on that. And so I don't know. So the question is, what's your Bigfoot? I have a couple of Bigfoot knives. I call them my Yeti knives. Loch Ness monsters. I've seen pictures. I hear people buy them. I know people own them. I know it's out there. I know it's real. Matter of fact, one of them is the ProTech Mordax. It is my Bigfoot knife. I've heard stories about it. I've seen pictures of people actually owning them in their hands. I know it exists. I just don't know. Now, the reality of this knife is I used to own the drop version in the CPM 20CV. I had it for a year and a half, couple years, and then and you could easily get it, matter of fact, on Amazon. It was really cool. But then all of a sudden, they stopped producing it, dropped it, went away, and they became Caviso, right? So drop went away and it became Caviso. And but then ProTech announced the Mordax at the SHOT Show, I think 2022. And they mentioned how they were going to come out with the MagnaCut version, and they were going to drop it. So my next door neighbor, they were moving back to Nebraska. They were selling their house next to us, and he'd always liked to look at the knives I had, and we talked knives because he was kind of thought it was really cool and stuff, and he really wanted to buy that Mordax. And I mentioned to him, yeah, they're coming out with the other one, and I really want to get that. And he's like, oh, I'll buy that one. And so I thought, well, it's going to be right around the corner, so I can sell it. Sure, why not? Well, guess what? I sold a knife. He was super excited. I gave him a really good deal, matter of fact, and I could have sold it for way more after he moved if I had realized the market was going to fly up like that. I gave him a great deal. He got a great deal on the knife. I'm sure he's enjoying it and loves it, and that's great. But here's the reality. That ProTech Mordax, it was only seen at the SHOT shows and the Blade shows, and I don't remember anybody ever getting it. And if they did, it dropped and disappeared so fast. So I missed it. And then I hear about these drops that come out and they have limited release. But every time I go look and I see it, it's gone. It's gone. Like the Malibu. I had a Malibu. I didn't like the Malibu. I actually had a black textured Malibu. Beautiful knife, but it would always dig into my hand. It was uncomfortable. Like the Ace line of knives, I don't like those because they have a real sharp-edged lanyard hole, and to me they just became, I don't even want to consider them. If I carry a knife and I hold it in my hand long enough and this edge is digging in and starts to rub and cause a callus or blister, I'm like, you know what, because I like to fidget my knives, I like to hold them, it should not be uncomfortable. The edge shouldn't be so sharp that I start getting a blister or raw kind of feeling skin right there because it's just sitting there. That's ridiculous, right? So I can't do the Malibu. It's too small. Beautiful knife, but too small. The ProTech Mordax is really great. And so I've been hunting since 2022, and we're into, or maybe it was in 2021 when they talked about it at the end of the year. I can't quite remember, but they talked about it being dropped. Maybe it was in the very beginning of 2022, and they were supposed to be released throughout 2022. I'm forgetting the details here. And I think what ended up happening, there was never enough inventory or I ever saw it. So needless to say, I couldn't find it. Every time I looked, never could find it. Never. And then Blade Show Texas came, and I wanted to go, but I couldn't go. And of course, I hear they had a ton of knives up there, and you could have bought them. And I was really bummed about that. I can't tell you how bummed I was about that. So then you have those knives, right? And that was kind of a bummer to miss those. But again, I just could never find a knife and get the knife. I wanted to get another Mordax. So I have come to the point now where it's such a Bigfoot, such a mystery Loch Ness kind of monster. I went for my consolation. So Ferrum Forge also worked with WE knives to make the mini malice, and this is a Ferrum Forge design, and you can see it's got the same big finger choil kind of look of the blade, really nice big belly blade and everything, comfortable handle, contoured and everything. And I like this. Now this fits my medium to medium large hands. They're large widthwise, medium lengthwise. The contour is a very comfortable grip. So this became my consolation Mordax, right? I couldn't find it. My Loch Ness Monster, I went with the, if Loch Ness Monster was a horse, this is my mule, or jackass, if you will. It's a consolation kind of a, equestrian type of animal, right? So, and I'm assuming a mule and a donkey. I know donkey is officially, a mule is a hybrid between a donkey and a horse, but I believe, and it's sterile, but I believe I think they're still considered equestrian, if I remember correctly, the equine type of family genus species, kind of however that works out. But anyways, needless to say, this is my consolation knife, right? It's my consolation knife. I couldn't find it. So I have a few other knives that I've been grail hunting, right? One of them is, I would love, love, love to get the new Microtech MSI. I have a feeling that's going to be really hard to get a hold of. Everyone's going to be buying it out to drive up price and demand. No one's going to be able to get any sort of inventory because people are going to go in and buy several of them at a time, or have multiple accounts to buy several at a time. So I have no doubt that either everyone who wants a knife are going to go in there and buy one or two, because I know some people, when they get a knife, like, oh, I want every color in the G10. I want to collect every variant they have of it. So, oh, they have 4 variants of the stitch. Well, I'm going to buy one of each. Oh, they have 6 variants of the MSI. I'm going to buy 6 of those. So there are people who do that. I get it. It's a bummer. I wish we could all get a knife before they get their seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and sixths, in seconds in the food line or whatever. But it is what it is, right? They're the ones who are fast. They live around the computer. They literally hang around their computers as soon as they see it drop. They're going to be the first one with a credit card. Boom, buy it. I'm not going to be able to keep up with that. So, the MSI might be one of those Bigfoot knives as well for me. I'd love to own one day. I'd love to handle it. I don't know if I will in 2023. It probably won't be till 2024, 2025 before I will ever probably get a chance to get a hand on one. It's going to be one of those knives. It's going to be a Loch Ness Monster. It's going to be a Bigfoot, a Yeti. I'm going to hear stories about it. I'm going to see people post videos about it. I'm going to be excited for them, but I'll never get to touch it. So, yeah. Also, the McNeese Mac 2 3.5 in MagnaCut. That's another one of those knives. I would love to get a hold of that. I have yet to find it. I can see the McNeese autos. Now, I get that's probably cool to buy an auto, but I have 2 autos. My 2 autos are this live wire by Kershaw, right? I like this live wire. Really, really great knife. And then I have my ProTech. Is it here? Oh, okay, I have a ProTech TR3, an anniversary knife. That's my 2 autos. I'm not into autos. I don't feel like I need a ton of autos. 2 is fine for me, where I'm at right now in my knife collecting journey. I know other people want more and collect more, and that is fine. Collect them. I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying for me, this is where I'm at. This is what I do. And you don't have to agree with it, right? You don't have to agree with it at all. You can completely disagree with me. You can completely think I'm an idiot. And that is okay. It's perfectly fine, right? But that being said, do you have any Bigfoots? Do you have any Yetis? Any Loch Ness Monster of knives that you hear stories, you see posts on Instagram or in YouTube, you see these videos, but you've yet to ever see or touch or experience one? Do you have any of those? And if you don't, that's really cool. Then you're one of those people that probably has every knife that's out there, and that I envy you. I'm not jealous, but I envy you and would love to someday just have lunch with you or just be able to look at the knives. That would be so cool. That being said, there's got to still be some Loch Ness Monsters. Now, your Loch Ness Monsters might be way bigger monsters than mine, right? I'm talking about a ProTech Mordax. I'm talking about a Microtech MSI. I'm talking about a McNeese, a Mac 2 3.5 inch. And I'm talking about like the Rick Hinder Maximace. They make those every 2 or 3 years. They had a run recently about those. I missed it. It's going to be another few years before I'm going to see that again, unless they increase production and make the Maximus sooner. That's one of those knives that I had a chance to buy one. There was 2 at the store when I was up in Fort Worth at, I believe it's the Blade Bar, and I missed it. I missed out, or was it House of Blades? I can't remember. I think it was House of Blades. They had 2, and I completely missed out on it. I cannot believe that. What a bummer, right? So there you have it. Bummer. I would love to get those one day. I'd love to hear what your Bigfoots were. And how did you finally find it? What's your story about finding a Bigfoot? Why don't you share that down below? I'd love to hear that. Or did you finally give up on your Bigfoot search and did you get a consolation knife like I did? My Mini Malice is my button lock consolation. I like this knife a lot. It's a little smaller, but I like it. It's comfortable. It works really great. It's a great EDC. And ironically enough, this blue stone-washed anodized titanium scale really glitters in the sun. Almost, it has a beautiful aesthetic to it. That's just really, really nice, by the way. Can't really see it, I think, in the lighting here as well, but it sure looks really great in the sun. But that being said, what are your Loch Ness, Yeti, Bigfoot monsters? What are your abominable snowman? What are your knives that you've been searching for, you've not been able to get? What's the frustrating knife for you? Is it a Koenig Arias? Is it a Herman? Is it a Sharp by Design? And especially now that Brian is going to be doing less customs, is that going to be one of those you wish you had gotten it? Is it going to be somebody else, Kind of curious where you're at. Love to hear your feedback, your thoughts on that. Please feel free to comment down below. I would love to know, and I try to reply to everybody. I do. I try to, get back to you, and would love to have a conversation with you about that, because I can only imagine what your special, if you will, Loch Ness monster, your grails that, again, this is the grail that you could probably buy once it becomes available, but you just can never find. It's not the grail that you hope someday to be able to afford. I call that the grail, the knife. Like, I would love someday to get a Shirgorov. I would love to get a Herman, a Koenig, but those knives and their values, they're out of my range right now for prices. So someday I would love to get those, but they're in a whole different realm, right? Different cost realm. I would love to get a Deadlock. But I don't have $2,000 for the perfect OTF. I would probably get rid of every OTF for that. My one other OTF, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'll still keep this because this would be a cheap one I would feel comfortable carrying. But if I got a Guardian Tactical, like I said, if I buy one of those where my mentality is today, I would still use it. I would carry it. I'd want to be able to carry it. I wouldn't safe queen it, right? I would want to be able to carry it and use it. I think that's the purpose of a knife. I would want to be able to do that. Maybe call me crazy for wanting that, but that's what I feel, right? What are some of your other ones? Are there other knives out there that you just have been hoping to get a hold of? Is there another designer? I know there's some really high-end designers, but there's some that I know, Medford and Spartan Blades, and what is it? What's the other one? I've been looking at it lately. Oh, I can't remember. Like, let's say one of the customs from Enrique Pena or Brian Brown or Christensen or any of the other custom knife makers. That would be cool, right? But what are they? What's your Bigfoot? The Brown Knives FSD. That's another one of those. Or the Rosie, the Roosevelt. I would love to get one of those, but every time they drop, man, you cash up front. You got to buy that thing right away. And usually when I find about it, I was like, oh, I don't have the money for that this time around. Would love to get it next time, but that's a big investment. You got to have the $800, right? $800-900. For the Herman, you got to have the $900,000. The Shirgorov, you got to have the $1,100, $1,200, $1,300, right? They're all expensive, right? They're not cheap. They're not cheap. And so, what are your Loch Ness monsters? What are your Yetis? What are your Bigfoots? I'm kind of curious where you're at and would love to hear that. I don't know. It's just one of those things when you talk about it, it kind of feels frustrating, like you just can't finish it, because just like trying to hunt for that knife, you just don't feel like you resolved it. You don't feel like you've attained it. And so when you talk about it, it almost frustrates me. Like, I feel like I can't wrap this video up, because it's like, I want to wrap it up because I want to get those knives, and here I am reliving those frustration and you know, frustration of not getting that knife. It's all coming up and bubbling up again, and so me trying to wrap this video up is almost I'm kind of stumbling because those emotions are there. You know, it's like, that knife, I wanted that knife, you know, and it's, I missed it, you know, or, oh, I missed the drop, you know, you're just like so frustrated. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that? Am I the only one? Am I a weird person that no one else has ever experienced that? I kind of think I'm not, and I suspect I'm not. So I would love to know about you guys. But that's my thought on my Loch Ness monster. You probably hear me mention it in some of my other videos. I always talk about the Mordax being my Bigfoot. I'm going to start calling it my Bigfoot, right? That's my Bigfoot knife. And who knows, you know, maybe I'll get a chance to handle one before I ever buy it, and I find out I have built this up from what I remembered it to be and what it is now, and it's not the knife I want. Now, I can tell you for a fact, I was at a gun show, and I held the McNeese Mac 2 3.5 inch with the Magna Cut blade, and I can tell you that knife is good. It is a knife I want. It is a knife that is absolutely worth it. And my experience with that knife was, yes, it was phenomenal, okay? So that's my experience. That's my thought on it. I just want to let you know if you've had the same or similar experiences. The Maximus, Rick Hinder, yeah. I handled that at, I told you it was, I think it's a House of Blades, or it was a Blade Bar. It might have been the Blade Bar. I think it's a Blade Bar. They had one. I have 2 locations in Fort Worth, and we were up there visiting, and I went to one, and he had 2, and I was like, I had a chance to buy one, and I was like, oh, I would love to have bought it. I should have bought it if I just didn't have the money for it. But man, it's one of those knives, it comes along once in a while, and you missed it. And I missed it. I missed it. It had been my one Rick Hinder knife. I'd have been like, yes, that's the one. I'd have been with the Rick Hinder fans. Yeah, I got my Maximus. Oh, yeah. You know, and people would complain it looks stupid. But, you know, it's fine. I don't care. Because I like it, right? So, you know, people don't have to like your knife for you to like it, right? I hope you don't have knives. I hope you don't keep and collect knives because you want other people to like your knives. And if they don't like your knives, you get rid of them. You should keep the knives you like, you enjoy, you want in your collection that bring you pleasure. Do not, my suggestion to you, and I highly encourage you, it's not me directing you, but I highly encourage you to do not feel like you have to. You have to get rid of knives that other people don't like. Now, you can respect them. You know what? You can respect a lot of people and you can disagree with them. It is okay to disagree. You don't have to agree 100%. Matter of fact, I would question if you agreed 100% with me all the time, you agreed 100% with other people all the time. That means you don't have any original thought. You are just a reflection of their thought. You should be unique. You are unique. You really are unique. And you should embrace that and allow yourself to be that unique collector and enthusiast of the knives you enjoy. You might just find that you get more pleasure in those certain knives that really appeal to you than buying those knives that people say you should. So, you know, maybe your Loch Ness monsters, maybe your Bigfoots are knives that you're just getting because people say you should get it. Then don't get them, right? Don't get them. Get the knives you want. And that could still be a Bigfoot one. That's okay. That's all right. Just keep looking, right? Keep looking. I'm going to keep looking, you know, or find my consolation Mordax, which is not a bad consolation, mind you. This is a really good design, you know, okay? I mean, it's titanium scales as opposed to aluminum scales, so it kind of beats it out there. It's a button lock. It's really nice. So it has a lot of positives. Matter of fact, there's a Cepheus coming out, and an Exciton from We Knives. It's 2 of their button locks. It's supposed to be, the Cepheus got the best button lock folding knife at the Texas Blade Show. So that knife is supposed to be phenomenal. Phenomenal. It was a knife that really blew everything out of the water. So there's that, you know, maybe that'll end my quest for the Mordax. It'll end my quest for the ultimate button lock if I can get a hold of one of those. But again, those are limited runs. So I may not get a hold of them, right? They're limited runs. I may have missed them all. So I'll have to hope for something else, right? C'est la vie, as they say. Such is life. All right. Well, that's my thoughts on my My Bigfoot, I know I keep trying to wrap it up. It's kind of, wrapping up is like trying to wrap up this never-ending quest for your Bigfoot. It doesn't always feel like it's wrapped up. And I apologize if you feel like, oh, okay, we're almost, oh no, we're not there. If you hung out this long, I really appreciate it. I really do. You must enjoy the frustration and find humor in this dialogue, my discussion, my angst, my, if you will, my confession of my frustration for my Bigfoot knives. And if you have, I appreciate that. I really do. And if you have, maybe consider hitting the like button down below. I really would appreciate that. And then also subscribing to the channel. Both liking and subscribing to the channel really help me out a lot. It helps me produce more content, helps me to continue to do the stuff that I do with knives, and I really would appreciate it. And then if you've already subscribed, maybe consider hitting the notification button down below. That allows you to be notified of upcoming videos that I drop. And if you like all that, maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Hey, thanks so much for watching today. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.